What's going on, everyone? Gilman with Live Healthy Stocks, back with another weekly Apple update video where we take a look at how this past week was for the Apple stock, what we have coming up in terms of support and resistance levels, and based on that, what the future of Apple stock could do. So if you enjoy videos like this, hit that like button down below and subscribe to my channel. You guys have killed it with the support lately, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Hope you guys are all having an amazing weekend, by the way, and are looking forward to the start of the new trading week tomorrow. But wasting no time, let me hit record and we will get right into it. So let me hit the 5-day chart for Apple and see what we find. If you see my videos, you're probably aware of all of this from like a day-to-day perspective, but I always like to take a look back at, okay, how was the week for the Apple stock rather than kind of how the day was, because by the end of the week, sometimes we don't know what happened at the beginning of the week, especially with a week like this past one where we saw decent amount of selling pressure kind of happening across the market. So Monday was a great day for Apple. We went from kind of the 122.80s and ended 123.72. So, green moving up. And then pre-market, we kind of pushed up, but then on Tuesday, the start and the end was pretty flat from there on. So, day end to day end, we went from 123.30s to kind of high 124s, but it was kind of like a dip and then it got bought. Wednesday was kind of where the trouble started, when we went from 124.80s, pushed all the way up to 125.95. Now that's not something that I was anticipating, but then we did get a huge sell-off, and we were kind of back at that 121.50 level that we were watching. So you guys know we were watching for three sort of levels where the Apple stock has either found support, resistance, or taken a bit of a time to consolidate, and those are starting from the top 121.50, 119, and then 117. So we were back at that 121.50 level just after we had thought we were kind of done with it for a little bit, hopefully, and we bounced off of it on Wednesday, right? But it wasn't Apple stock, it was kind of the markets, right? If you take a look at S&P, same, pretty much sell-off that happened, and then kind of, pre-market, a little bit more of a sell-off similar to Apple, right? We broke decently below that. Why is it not loading? Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I don't know why it took forever to load, but we saw a sell-off pre-market and then we pushed up. We set a low of 120 that day, which was, lower than that 121.50 level. And then we pushed up, dipped below this 121.50 level. But as we could see here, right, it wasn't that the stock just went below it, tried to push above it, took a little bit of time, went below it, and then came right back up, spent a little time there, and then pushed up, which I kind of liked to close the week. So let's take a look at the daily chart and see what we see there with Apple stock. Now, we'll take a look at a couple things here. Longer term, what we were watching for, right? We had this wedge that Apple was trading in that we were closely watching. We broke out of this on 12/01, December 1st, and then since then we were looking at this line that was, since we were making higher lows every day and higher highs for most of that, and we were watching that line as support. Now we broke about 5 or 6 days, before we broke below it. And now we are looking at, a little bit of consolidation happening over here. So the next thing to kind of see is, do we kind of push up from here, kind of hopefully take out some of those highs we set earlier this week and push upward, or do we see a little bit of consolidation happening? And I'll kind of present both scenarios to you guys, and you guys can and kind of share what I think the stock will do. So let's take a look at, from a recent price action perspective, let's take a look at some of the support and resistance that we have coming up. Then we'll take a look at our indicators. So since this candle, right, our open was 122.43 and close was 122.41. Even though we saw a lot of range, right, there wasn't kind of end to end, or close to close, there wasn't a lot of movement in the stock price, which means the low of Friday, I was going to say today, but it's Sunday. The low of Friday was the first level of kind of price action level of support that we have at 120.55. And then the day before, since I was a lower low at 120.15, that's the level that I'm watching as well from a price level perspective. Now, this 120.55 and 120.15 come after that 121.50 level that we've got there, right? So those are kind of three levels to watch out for if the stock dips tomorrow. If we go up, since we are making lower highs for the past 3 days, the high of the day before becomes the first level to sort of watch out for to see if we could take that out. So come tomorrow, Monday, right? If we start flat at 122.27, because that's where after hours took off, I think the first level is 120. The high of that day would be 122.76. Then we've got 123.87, and then that 125.75 level. That takes us all the way back to actually this point here, 903, where we set a higher high than that, which is 128.84, and then this day before where we set an all-time high for Apple in the 137s. Those are levels to watch out for. Now, from a indicator perspective, right? Let's take a look at the moving average, because I don't personally think that there's too much to talk about there, other than this 20 moving average is moving up, and I would really like to see that holding up as support. So on 1210, when our low was 120.15, that line was 119.85, which is about 30 cents off from that, right? And then the 20-day moving average was 120.01, and then the low was 120.55. So I would like the stock to continue setting these lows that are a little bit higher, or a perfect bounce off of the 20-day moving average. That's a good sign to me. But more so than that, what we see here is the bounce off the 21 EMA. So you guys know me, I like the AEMA, love using it for my trading on a daily basis. I like the stock to be above it. If a stock is dipping, I like to see it hold the AEMA. If it doesn't hold the AEMA, then those price action levels of support and resistance come in, and then the 21 EMA is next. But typically the 21 EMA is kind of separated from the AEMA. So it's a decent drop before we kind of see that support from the 21 EMA, right? So the AEMA currently, and those numbers will be right here, the AEMA comes in at 122.29. As you can see, we're kind of right at that, right? And we're at 122.27 in the after hours. My ideal situation is that Apple stays above that AEMA, rides that AEMA across, consolidates, and then kind of gathers the energy to push up. Now, if the markets look good tomorrow morning, we see a bounce off the AEMA, push up. We consolidate, then we push up. If the markets are weak tomorrow, like they have been sort of the second half of this week, what we've seen every day is that we've bounced off of this 21 EMA. Take a look at the low of the candles, and take a look at the 21 EMA number and see exactly what I'm talking about, right? So on 12/10, which is this past Thursday, our low was 120.15. The 21 EMA was 120.16, a penny off. On Friday, our low was 120.55, and the 21 EMA was 120.37, 18 cents off that day. So if we do go down tomorrow morning, right, you guys see it going red, pull up the 21 EMA, right? I'm assuming, let's see, from 12.10 to 12.11, it went up by like 20 cents. So it's going to be pretty close to this 120.37 level, plus or minus 15, 20, 30 cents. If you can't pull it up on your chart, just keep that in your mind. If we go down, I would like, if there's weakness in the market, I would like to see that 21 EMA hold. That to me is a good sign of support, good level of support. That's if we break the 121.50 level, right? So my ideal case, stay above the AEMA, go up from here, or go sideways, then go up. Bad case, we either go down, we bounce off of this 121.50 level, or at least take some time to think about what Apple stock wants to do, and it can maybe bounce around there. And then worst case, hopefully we bounce off of the 21 EMA. Now, since we're doing a whole technical analysis, let me label out some more support levels for you guys, right? And that is in the 119 level, which is also the 34 EMA currently, the 55 EMA at 117.39, which is also kind of aligned with that 117 level we're watching. Then we've got the 89 EMA at 113.74, which kind of really nicely aligns with our 113 line. It could very well hit all of these, right? I want you guys to know that I'm not saying we're not going to hit these levels. And I also want you guys to understand kind of what you're doing before you make these investments. I am not a financial advisor, so don't, go in right off of the 21 EMA and say, Gilman told me to do it, right? Just make sure to always do your own research before you kind of listen to everyone. And if you agree with the research, then feel free to kind of make your trading decisions off of that. But for me, right, I like looking at these bounces. I like looking at how the stock is playing off the VWAP and all that kind of stuff before I personally get into a trade, right? So if a stock is falling, for me personally, I don't like to add until I see a reversal happen. So for Apple, for example, right? If Apple goes down tomorrow, right, from 122.41, it goes down to 121, I'm not necessarily going to add at 121 thinking, oh my God, it's already down $1.50. It should be a good deal, right? I want to see where it bounces. If it bounces at a 120.15, starts heading up, I might jump in then. But I would like to see that reversal before I jump in, just to make sure that I'm not jumping on a train that's going to go down further before it comes back up, because I could get a potential entry point. That's for my kind of that's for the trading that I do kind of in and out within a day trading, or in and out within a couple of days, which is swing trading. My long-term hold on Apple, I'm less concerned about what price I get in at, because my believing is that time in the market beats timing in the market, right? You guys have all heard that saying, and I believe in that. So long-term position, always bullish on Apple. Short-term, sometimes I'll take kind of puts and play that as well if I see it go down. And let's say breaks this 120 to 2150, I think the level of support is going to be 21 EMA. Maybe I take a short position there. I know that was a lot of stuff that wasn't necessarily had to do with the Apple price action for this week, but I wanted to share that because I know a lot of you guys are interested or ask me questions about, different trade plans that you guys have. So I'd love to, I always love to kind of share that, and I always love to kind of chat with you guys down in the comment section. That's all I had for you guys this week. If you enjoy these videos, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you are new. I really appreciate each and every one of you guys and the support you've shown me. I hope you guys are all having an amazing weekend. Let's remember to be a bit better every single day, and until next time.